Hi Year 4 and welcome to our next English lesson. So earlier this week, you've started looking at a new writing unit and we're going to be thinking about writing a leadership story. The purpose of this is to entertain and our audience is our classmates. So we've looked at animation, the precocious penguins and the ingenious insects, and we're going to continue looking at these today. Our learning objective for today is to use noun phrases to describe a setting. Pause the video now and write today's date and learning objective down and underline these. Our signs of success are to be able to use noun phrases in our writing. This is something you did in yesterday's lesson. So a noun phrase is created by describing a noun using an adjective. An example would be coarse, dry, grass. We're thinking about, can I use fronted adverbials in my writing? Fronted adverbials go at the start of your sentence and describes the verb and often tells you when, where or how. I can use alliteration in my writing, so thinking about how we can use words to describe that start with the same sound. And I can use complex sentences. So a complex sentence has a main clause that makes sense on its own and a subordinate clause that doesn't make sense on its own and is often joined together using a conjunction. So here you can see our model of excellence that we've started looking at to find the noun phrases. If you have a copy of this printed off, pause the video and get that ready for you now so we can start looking at other features in this piece of writing. With your highlighters, see if you can find any of the other features at the bottom in the text. We're going to look for fronted adverbials, possessive apostrophes, complex sentences, prepositional phrases and alliteration. I'll read the model of excellence through and then I'll give you some time to have a look for some of these features. The precocious penguins. At the very bottom of the earth, the winter winds were beginning to lessen and a clear azure sky stretched across the icy plains of Antarctica. Imposing ice stretchers meandered menacingly through the freezing waters while an eerie silence filled the air. Perched perilously on one of those icebergs was a colony of penguins, huddled together for warmth yet alert for their next fishy feed. The patient penguins' eyes darted to and fro across the lapping waves so that they wouldn't miss any potential food or foes. With alarming speed, an ominous black fin darted through the waves and began circling the penguins. Someone else had smelt his breakfast. The finned giant emerged further from the ocean's depth and opened his deadly mouth with his razor-sharp teeth. Swimming quicker towards the penguin colony, the killer whale readied himself to fill his belly. Suddenly, one clever penguin had a cunning idea. With an urgent shout, the penguin ordered the colony to work together. Shuffling steadily towards the edge of the ice, they tilted the great ice mountain towards the watery depth of the ocean. Just as the finned giant was about to gorge on his delicious feast, his enormous jaw smacked into an icy wall and his breakfast dream sank with him. Okay, so can you spot any fronted adverbials that start your sentence to tell you when, where or how? Have a little go now. Okay, so at our very top of our page, we've got at the bottom of the earth. So we start with a fronted adverbial here. We also can find some later in the text where we've got the word suddenly and with an urgent shout. Okay, let's change our colour and see if we can find an example of a possessive apostrophe. So here, if you look here, we can see the patient penguin's eyes. So this apostrophe here is the possessive apostrophe because the eyes belong to the penguin. Can you find any examples next of a prepositional phrase? A prepositional phrase is a word that indicates a place or a direction. Words like across or into, behind, between or on. Pause the video now while you look for some of these words. Okay, let's see what we can find here. So we've got, if you look here in the sentence, with alarming speed, an ominous blackfin darted through the waves. So we've got the word through here. Swimming quicker towards the penguin colony. So the word towards. And another word here, towards colony. It tilted. And we've got the word into. Okay, some good examples there. Let's see if we can find any examples of complex sentences. Pause the video while you look for these. Okay, so here, if we look here, imposing ice structure meandered menacingly through the freezing waters, while an eerie silence filled the air. Here's an example of a complex sentence. Another example, swimming quicker towards the penguin colony, the killer whale readied himself to fill his belly. And here you can see we've got, just as the fin giant was about to gorge on his delicious feast, his enormous jaw smacked into an icy wall and his breakfast dreams sank with him. Okay, well done for looking for different features of our text. So, let's remind ourselves of the animation, the ingenious insects, because this is what we're going to be writing about for today's session. Okay, so we're going to have 3 chunks of our writing today. And each chunk we're going to be thinking about a complex sentence. And we're also going to be writing about what we notice, what can we see in the description, in the settings. So for our chunk 1 today, we're going to think about the grassland that these ants are living in. So we're going to be thinking about some noun phrases, and your work from yesterday will really help you with this because you've already started thinking about some noun phrases to describe the grassland. So I want you to think about what words would you use to describe this grassland? What does it look like? What can you hear? To give you a bit more inspiration, have a look at the video and any words that you can think of, write down, ready to help you write your sentences. So what can you see amongst the grassland? What can you hear? What do you think's hiding? Okay, pause the video while you write down as many different noun phrases that you can think of. Now, normally in our class, this is where we'd be able to read out our noun phrases and magpie ideas from each other. We can't do that today, so here are some of my ideas that I've written down for you. Inhospitable, brutally hot, it's humid, scorching, wild and withered, thick, coarse and dry. So for your first sentence to describe the grassland, here's my ideas of a sentence, and then you can have a go at writing your own sentence using some of your ideas that you've come up with. So my sentence is, deep in Central America, the yellowing grassland swayed as the burning sun sat high in the midday sun. If you want to have a go at deepening the moment, think about describing the movement of the prairie grass and include an example of alliteration. Use my sentence to help you, give you some ideas, but try and change it as much as you can. So think about using your own noun phrase. Think about when you're writing your complex sentence, maybe try and change the subordinating conjunction as. Maybe you could change the order of the sentence. As the burning sun sat high in the midday sun, deep in Central America, the yellowing grassland swayed. Now have a go at writing your sentence. Okay, let's look at chunk 2. So for chunk 2 of our writing, I want you to imagine that amongst all this grass, there is a hidden path. That is where the ants are coming from. So let's just remind ourselves of the animation again to think about what that path might look like. What is that path? What does it look like? Okay, so now you've had another look at the video. Write down some words to describe what that path might be looking like. Pause the video now while you do that. Okay, so I'm going to give you some of my ideas that I've come up with. It's hard and gritty. The path is rough. It's intriguing. It's dark. It's coarse. And it's uneven. Got the words there, jutting. Thinking about the grass now, how it's extending over this path. Extending, and it's hidden. My sentence that I've written now for chunk 2 is long shadows from tall jutting plants fell across a dusty path that sneaked its way through the plains. Now I want you to have a go at writing chunk 2. So think about how you can use my ideas and improve them. Maybe change the way you describe the plants. Think about what words you can include to describe the path. And perhaps change the verb sneaked. Perhaps you can deepen the moment by using an example of personification to give the grass human-like features. Pause the video now while you have a go at writing your sentence. Brilliant, well done. Now let's look at our final learning chunk for today. Okay, so for the final part of describing our setting, we're thinking about the ants, how they appear on the path and how they're moving. So let's think about some verbs to describe how the ants are moving. Now, my ideas would be words like scampered and crept and scurried and scuttled. What verbs can you think of to describe how the ants are moving? I also want you to think about what is happening with the ants. So you might use the conjunction whilst to describe what is happening. Maybe they're peering or peered through the grass. Maybe they're gazing and maybe they're watching for something. What words can you think of to describe what they are doing? Watch the video one more time to give you some inspiration and write down as many different ideas as you can think of. Okay. So my sentence is, hurrying along the path, the busy insects scuttled back to complete their daily chores, whilst two beady eyes peered out from behind the bushes. Okay, so have a go now at writing your chunk 3. Perhaps you can improve this by adding a noun phrase to describe the path. Maybe you can describe the insects better. Perhaps you can think about how you might describe their eyes and what they're doing whilst they're peering out from behind the bushes. To deepen the moment, see if you can think of your own, a different conjunction to whilst to make your complex sentence. Pause the video now. Okay, well done year 4. So your final task now is to think about, have you been successful in your writing today, and to polish your writing. You might want to edit some sentences. To have a bit look back through your writing today, read your paragraph. Have you used some noun phrases that you could highlight? Have you used a fronted adverbial? Have you used any alliteration? And can you point out your complex sentences that you've used? Well done, year 4.